Now at 5, authorities in Crawford County search for a man suspected in an exchange of gunfire with law officers. Plus, voters in Oklahoma today are deciding whether to approve recreational marijuana. And
2 Americans killed in Mexico and 2 survivors back on U.S. soil. I'm Cristian Benavides with what we're learning about the violent kidnapping and reaction from U.S. officials.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities in Crawford County, Kansas are searching for a man who they say was involved in several incidents involving gunfire. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. That man is Aaron Swink and dangerous. According to the Kansas Department of Corrections records, he was released on March 2nd from jail for parole violations. On March 6th, they listed him as absconded. We go now to KOAM's Yana Hautala, who's been following the search for Swink.
Thank you, Dow. We're live here in Pittsburgh, where the law enforcement has been searching for the subject all day. Crawford County deputies, Pittsburgh police, and more spent most of the day searching the area near Via Christi Hospital. According to Sheriff Danny Smith, Swink is a suspect of incidents involving gunfire that started on Monday night around 11 p.m. Officials say there was also a standoff at one point.
Standoff, if you will, at some point in time, and during that time, Mr. Swink shot at law enforcement. There was an exchange of fire between law enforcement and Mr. Swink. At some point in time, a pursuit again ensued, and that was earlier this morning, and then that ended here, and now the search is on.
Different agencies are assisting the Crawford County Sheriff during the day. Live in Pittsburgh, I'm Yana Hautala with KOAM News.
All right, we'll be looking for updates, obviously. Yana, thank you. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane now for our first look at the weather.
And we've had some rain move in through the area over the last hour. You can see 3 areas of precipitation over near Lamar towards Greenfield. Also some thunderstorms down near Coffeyville and Independence, and a larger area up towards Yates Center and Iola. Let's zoom in on that area and show you what's been going on. There's been some lightning with this activity as well. None of this is severe. That's the good news. And it's all moving off towards the north and east, over towards Ozark, Northridge, and eventually on over towards Mound City. A little bit wider view showing the amount of rainfall that has occurred with some of these storms, generally around ½ an inch in some of the heavier storms, but we're expecting a lot more rain down in our forecast. Temperatures dropping through the 50s tonight to around 45 degrees by morning. And looking down the lane, we have more rain tonight and then cloudy tomorrow, with more rain on Thursday and yet even a wet weekend. And I'll tell you all about that coming up in just a little bit.
Thanks, Sam. This is a big day for Oklahoma voters. They're deciding whether to legalize recreational marijuana. Polls will close at 7 tonight. The measure would allow anyone age 21 and over to purchase and possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana, including concentrates and marijuana-infused products. People could legally grow up to 12 marijuana plants. It would also open sales to out-of-state residents. The state already has signed off on medical marijuana that was approved in 2018. We're going to have results tonight on KOAM News at 10 and KOAMNewsNow.com. After 35 years of serving various public service positions, Joplin's Police Chief Sloan Rowland will retire on June 1st. Chief Rowland started his career as an EMT working for the Cherokee County, Kansas Ambulance Service. In 1987, he started his law enforcement career as a patrolman for Galena, Kansas. Rowland joined the Joplin Police Department in 2003 and worked his way up to become chief in 2019.
I may not miss the 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls and some of the stress when I'm worrying about officers and some of the staff, but I think the people will be definitely what I miss, the day-to-day interactions I have. We have a phenomenal group of individuals at the Joplin Police Department, and our civilian staff, dispatch, jail, sworn officers, just a great bunch of people, and I think that's what I'll miss more than anything.
Assistant Chief Brian Lewis will serve as interim police chief as the city searches for a permanent replacement. The U.S. State Department confirms 2 of the 4 Americans who were kidnapped in Mexico Friday are back in the United States. The remains of the other 2 U.S. citizens have been recovered and are in the process of being brought back to the U.S. Reporter Cristian Benavides has the latest, a warning some of the images in this report are disturbing.
2 of the 4 U.S. citizens abducted on Friday are back in the United States after being taken to the border in Matamoros, Mexico Tuesday. U.S. officials say the other 2 Americans involved did not survive.
The bodies of 2 other U.S. citizens killed in the same incident were also recovered.
According to the FBI, the 4 Americans were kidnapped after they drove a white minivan across the border from Brownsville, Texas into Matamoros, where gunfire broke out between 2 rival drug cartel groups. Video appears to show gunmen loading the Americans into the back of a pickup truck.
The DEA and the FBI are doing everything possible to dismantle and disrupt and ultimately prosecute the leaders of the cartels and the entire networks that they depend on.
A U.S. official identified the Americans as Latavia Tay McGee, Shaeed Woodard, Zindell Brown, and Eric James Williams. Tay McGee's aunt told CBS News she believes her niece went to Mexico for cosmetic surgery, a common practice because procedures are less expensive south of the border.
Americans that make that trek, is it safe for them to do that?
These people are in grave danger going into Mexico.
Michael Vigil is the former head of international operations for the Drug Enforcement Administration.
You have to keep in mind that those are drug routes that the cartels protect with their lives.
Mexican authorities say they have 1 suspect in custody. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
A U.S. law enforcement source tells CBS News investigators believe the Gulf Cartel, one of the oldest organized crime groups in Mexico, is responsible for that attack on the American victims. After a second Norfolk Southern train derailed in Springfield, Ohio on Saturday, the company says it's addressing this issue with a 6-point plan. Officials say the plan is focused on boosting safety, including the enhancement of the hot bearing detectors, which can trigger an alarm if a potential failure or high temperatures are detected. There were no injuries reported in Saturday's accident, and the track in that area is reopened. Still ahead, a bipartisan push to ban a popular social media app.
Lawmakers target TikTok. I'm Nicole D'Antonio on Capitol Hill with the bipartisan push to give the president the power to ban the Chinese-owned app.
And next in Health Watch, we're going to have some tips on how you can prepare ahead of the allergy season. Topping today's Health Watch, the United Nations says people around the world are living longer. The organization's population division says life expectancy is not only increasing globally, but the gap between highly developed regions and the rest of the world is gradually closing. They say reasons people are living longer include global progress in ensuring access to health care, sanitation and education, and the ongoing fight against worldwide hunger. A new study finds patients with previous heart disease who get COVID-19 have a lower rate of heart complications from COVID infection if they practice intermittent fasting compared to patients who do not fast. Utah researchers found the best results among patients who had fasted for decades because it reduces hyperinflammation in the heart associated with poor COVID outcomes. Spring is on the way, and for a lot of people that means start of allergy season. But as Michael George explains, there are some things you could be doing now to make spring a little more bearable.
Brandy Keith is allergic to, well, just about everything.
Anything outside, grasses, trees, weeds, even cats and dogs.
And like many allergy sufferers, things get even worse in the spring when tree pollen is everywhere.
Nasal congestion, itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing.
But the experts say if you take some precautions, you won't have to hide indoors all spring. Dr. Flavia Hoyt from National Jewish Health says if you have a doctor-prescribed steroid for allergies, you should be taking it now.
It takes a couple weeks to build up, and you want it to really be at its peak, treating the inflammation fully when the pollen starts at full force.
Are there things we could be doing at home to reduce the severity of allergies?
So as much as possible, keeping windows closed in the house as well as in the car. Come here. Our furry friends also bring pollen to us. And so, some patients will say, but I'm not allergic to my dog. But if the dog's in the bed, then you're sleeping with the pollen that the dog has just rolled around in.
Doctors also advise after spending time outside, take a shower or change your clothes to get rid of pollen. Keith is taking precautions ahead of time.
allergy shots, taking Allegra, Zyrtec. My nasal flushes are very important, followed by my prescription nasal sprays.
It won't eliminate your allergies, but it could make them much easier to handle. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Experts also say windy days have the most pollen. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the Federal Reserve Chair is in the hot seat facing questions over his handling of inflation.
And we have thunderstorms on the radar. I'll be back in a minute to tell you what that means for our forecast, as well as a look at the weekend when we come back. Well, we've had a nice few days, and then the rain expected to come in, and it has arrived across the four-state area. You can see right now it's Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Some clouds and some scattered showers off in the distance. They've had some showers down in that direction earlier this afternoon. We made it up to 58 today after starting out at 39, which was pretty close to the normals of 57 and 35. The record's 79 and 7 back in 1989. Radar right now is showing the biggest area of showers and storms up towards our north of Chanute near Iola, extending over to Yates Center and moving over towards Mound City. A few lightning bolts with that activity too. Also some showers just south of Independence and some more over there near Greenfield. All of this is moving off towards the east-northeast, so we're going to be seeing these scattered showers and storms all evening long, and it's all because of a storm system that's moving out into the plains this evening. And then we have another storm system on the west coast. It's also going to be spitting pieces of energy at us over the next several days. So we have several days to see these rounds of showers and storms. This afternoon, temperatures made it into the upper 50s in many locations. 40s up to the north, though, and 46 in Garnett, 49 in Yates Center. 60s, though, down in Oklahoma with 65. The high down in Grove. Temperatures right now are basically in the upper 50s to low to mid 60s across the area. There are some 40s up towards the north and a little bit cooler up there. Dew points are increasing as well with the rainfall in the area, with dew points in the 30s and the mid 40s, like down in Jay, where they're currently sitting at 45. In Joplin, it's cloudy and 51 right now with an east-northeast wind at 7. Dew point is 43 and the pressure is 30.09. And in Pittsburgh, you can see the wind flying there on the flag, 50 degrees with an east-northeast wind at 10, feels like 46, and the dew point is currently at 42 degrees and the visibility 10 miles. Chances of rain are going to be highest this evening and into the overnight hours. Then tomorrow it takes a little bit of a dip, but then they start picking back up again as we head towards Thursday. That's when we have another round of rain moving in. You can see on the forecast for tonight, lows generally in the 40s with scattered showers and storms across the area. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, mostly cloudy with highs in the upper 40s to around 50 degrees, mid 50s down in Oklahoma and in Arkansas. But then the rain comes back as we go into Thursday with lows in the 40s. And then as we go through Thursday afternoon, we'll start to see those showers moving away a little bit, but still we'll make it into the 50s with southeasterly winds. Then the winds turn around to the north and west, and we see lows dropping down into the 30s by Friday morning. Rainfall amounts are going to be highest along and south of I-44, with some places picking up maybe an inch or an inch and a half, lighter amounts to the north and to the west. Over the next 7 days, we have several rounds of showers and storms possible, with highs in the 50s and lows pretty much in the 30s. And then as we head towards the weekend, another shot of rain as we move into Sunday, and then a little bit milder as we head towards the middle part of next week.
A lot of spring rains coming in advance.
That's exactly right. We need it, especially in southeastern Kansas.
Certainly true. Thanks, Sam. Coming up, a bipartisan push to ban social media giant TikTok over security concerns. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the head of the Federal Reserve testified today before the Senate Banking Committee. Jerome Powell told lawmakers the central bank will need to raise interest rates higher than previously expected in order to tame inflation.
Although inflation has been moderating in recent months, the process of getting inflation back down to 2% has a long way to go and is likely to be bumpy. As I mentioned, the latest economic data have come in stronger than expected, which suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates is likely to be higher than previously anticipated.
Powell also says in order for inflation to come down, the labor market will need to soften. That means fewer job openings and more layoffs. The Department of Justice today announced it's filing a lawsuit to block JetBlue Airways' nearly $4 billion proposed acquisition of Spirit Airlines as soon as this week. The deal was announced back in July after JetBlue topped a rival bid from Frontier Airlines and would create the 5th largest air carrier in the country. JetBlue's CEO told the Wall Street Journal this week the company would fight a government lawsuit in court. Democratic Senator Mark Warner and Republican Senator John Thune are introducing bipartisan legislation to address the threats posed by technology from foreign adversaries. That includes the very popular TikTok app. Reporter Nicole D'Antonio explains there's concern the social media app has ties to the Chinese government.
With over 1 billion users, TikTok is one of the fastest growing social media platforms. But trending now are new efforts to ban the app nationwide.
But I'm particularly concerned about TikTok's connections to the Chinese Communist Party, which repeatedly spies on American citizens.
The bipartisan Senate bill would give the federal government the authority to tighten controls over companies that operate within hostile foreign countries and collect the personal data of Americans.
We need a more comprehensive approach to evaluating and mitigating these threats.
TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance and has long maintained it does not share data with the Chinese government. But there are also concerns about the app's impact on young people's mental health and that China could use the platform to push propaganda. Today's Senate bill follows a similar bill introduced last week in the House. The CEO of TikTok is scheduled to testify before a House committee later this month. The ACLU has already spoken out against the House bill, saying it violates both the First Amendment and a 1988 law known as the Berman Amendment that protects the right to receive information regardless of its country of origin.
So think of people streaming their experiences amidst the protests in Iran, COVID lockdowns in China, the war in Ukraine. People use TikTok to create content and share information that increases news awareness, that increases civic engagement.
The Biden administration supports the Senate bill and is urging Congress to pass it. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Last week, the White House gave federal agencies 30 days to remove TikTok from all government-issued devices. That followed bans by Congress, the U.S. Armed Forces, and more than half of U.S. state governments. California Governor Gavin Newsom lashed out at Walgreens yesterday, saying his state will no longer do business with the nation's second largest drugstore chain. It comes days after Walgreens said it will not mail out abortion pills in 20 states, where attorneys general warned the company that it risks breaking the law. Newsom says Walgreens is cowering to extremists and putting women's lives at risk. Walgreens responded that it will dispense the medication consistent with federal and state laws. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, an exclusive interview with the only 4 women currently serving in the military's highest rank. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have the latest on that manhunt in Crawford County for a suspect. Plus, a U.S. judge strikes down a Missouri law banning local police from enforcing federal gun laws. And Pitt State football opens up its first day of spring practice. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Some rain out there today,
speaking
Sam.
of spring,
Yeah,
right.
more rain chances ahead.
Yeah, more rain chances tonight and then a little bit of a break tomorrow, but then more rain back on Thursday, then another break on Friday, but then more rain on Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to kind of go into a wet pattern here for the next several days with highs in the 50s and lows in the 30s and 40s. And of course, look at St. Patrick's Day, 55 degrees at this point, so not too bad.
No, trending generally over time in the right
We're
direction.
slowly heading towards spring, yeah.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.